Welcome to the first actual video of Monster Hunter Month, everybody. Guys, I am incredibly excited for Monster Hunter Wilds to come out at the end of the month. I'm even more excited now since the last trailer confirmed that my favorite monster will be returning and will be in the game on day one. For those of you unfamiliar with this monster, this is Gore Magala, the flagship monster of Monster Hunter 4, and there are some big implications for this guy showing up from both a lore and gameplay perspective, and that's what I want to discuss in this video. Outside of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, Gore has also showed up in two other Monster Hunter games, Generations Ultimate and the expansion for Rise, Sunbreak. In both of these games, the implications were kind of ignored, but both of these games had good reasons for that, and I really don't think that they can ignore these implications again in Wilds. But what are these implications I keep speaking of? Well, you see, Gore Magala has eyes that are hidden in this infantile stage of its life cycle, and later, when it matures into Shagaru Magala, the adult form and Elder Dragon, which I'm also excited for, of course, its eyes will be unveiled. But let's return to Gore Magala. In order to see, Gore Magala leaves behind a trail of particles from its scales that act as heat signatures. The thing is, these scales also double as a vector for the Frenzy virus, which infects other monsters, sending them into a frenzied state, where they are more aggressive and hostile than normal. This virus is also something that you, the player, have to contend with while fighting a Gore Magala or a carrier of the virus, but I want to focus on how this affects the monsters here, as that's really what this video is about. Gore Magala is essentially a walking biohazard in the world of Monster Hunter, and anytime a single one is sighted, it's a top priority of the guild to kill it before it spreads its virus and causes a mass outbreak to other monsters. Monster Hunter 4 was the first time that a Gore Magala was ever spotted in the world of Monster Hunter, and throughout the main quest of that game, you have several run-ins with it until you finally defeat it after it has reached adulthood as Shagaru Magala. However, the damage was already done by this point, and many monsters were infected with the Frenzy virus and were still left in the ecosystem. These frenzied monsters added some additional challenge to the existing monsters and would reward special materials. There were also Apex monsters, not to be confused with the Apexes in Rise, which were more like alphas or leaders of a pack. But these Apex monsters in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate were super strong versions of monsters that overcame the Frenzy virus. Defeating an Apex monster would reward even more special materials that would allow you to augment your weapons. 4 Ultimate also had the guild quest system in G rank, and while Frenzied and Apex monsters were a part of that, I think I'll go more in depth on that in a separate video. I mentioned earlier how Frenzied and Apex monsters were not in the other two games that Gore Magala had shown up in after 4U, and that there were good reasons for that. Let me explain. Generations Ultimate was a celebration title of the first 4 generations of Monster Hunter, and I think it might be up in the air if the Gore Magala sighting is even canon in that game, but I'm not quite exactly sure on that one. In Sunbreak, however, the expansion to Rise, Malzeno, who was Sunbreak's flagship monster, also spread a disease of sorts through parasites called Curio, even able to infect Gore Magala. So because of this, they didn't do anything with Frenzy in that game, as they were more focused on the Curio virus. With Gore Magala returning in Monster Hunter Wilds, I have a feeling that Gore Magala will be introduced towards the end of the main story, or perhaps even in the post-game. I think this would be a perfect opportunity to reintroduce Frenzied and Apex monsters as additional endgame content for players to engage with. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, to this day, has arguably the best endgame in Monster Hunter, and while that was also largely in part because of the guild quest system and other features that were introduced in G rank, Gore Magala and the Frenzy virus played a large part in that too, and I think that there's some potential here for the post-game of base Wilds. Regardless of that though, I am just super happy that my favorite monster is going to be in the game from day one, but what do you think? How do you think Wilds will handle Gore Magala and its ecosystem-shattering Frenzy virus in Wilds? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next Monster Hunter Month video. Happy hunting!